Oh, yeah. You see that gunslinger right there? We interview a man who has many talents. Sure, he played football for 17 years with 4 pro organizations, multiple Pro Bowls, and a Super Bowl ring. But he's also a record holder, being the first player in the NFL to complete a touchdown pass to himself. A dad, a husband, TikTok star who has more fun than anyone else, and those are his own words. We welcome in a man who made Doink Nation popular. Over there in the corner pocket, backed by popular demand. His initials, the BBB, not the Better Business Bureau, but Big Bad Brad.
That's
Let's
right.
go! What's going on, man?
Oh,
He got the merch ready too.
Oh, Lord.
spot on. You know what I mean? Never know when it might come up.
How did my Let's Go go?
You know what? I got all these TikToks. You know what I mean? So I started making all these shots and I played 2 years of basketball at Florida State and grew up a basketball nut. And so I can do football and basketball. I've seen all these trick shots people do. They do, a lot of times it's a one-shot wonder kind of thing, a baseball bat and a basketball or whatever it may be. But I said, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to make 3, 4, maybe 5 shots in a row and just see if something different. And a lot of it kind of become my therapy because sometimes it's first time, first take. Then sometimes it's a little work. But I'm telling you, when the last shot goes in, it is pure jubilation. And it brings out the let's go because it is. I'm jacked up out there. And a lot of times it's me and a tripod, but it's fun though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's entertaining, and I gotta ask, where does the inspiration for all these shots come from? Because you're doing, like you said, 4 or 5 in one video.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's just if I can get it done. Does it happen in 5 minutes? Sometimes. Does it happen? Does it happen in 4 days? It is work. I go out there and I'm burning calories. I'm getting exercise. It's a goal. Some people remember the game called Around the World when you play basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Should I chance it or not? Or stuff like that. Well, this is like, it's all or nothing. It is, you got to make every shot and it's clutch. You kind of feel the pressure of making the shots. And so when that sucker goes in, damn, we did it. You know what I mean? So, and then hopefully, and I really want people to, it's get outside your house. It's have humor about yourself, have excitement, set a goal, whatever your goal may be. It may not be making these trick shots, but it may be around the world for you, or maybe see if I can make 5, 6 foot putts, or maybe I can make a putt from 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet. See how long that'll take you. So whatever the goal is, the goal is. But see if you just don't quit. That's the biggest deal.
I love that.
Yeah, I think I'd be on the other spectrum of that 4 days, maybe up. So I'm really watching your videos to kind of shorten my time frame and get into your one-hit wonder kind of things. That's where I need to be right now, I feel like.
Yeah, and it is what it is. Whatever gets you excited, whatever makes you motivated, stay in your skill set. You know what I mean? So whatever happens. But you can put music to it, you can put enjoyment to it, you can do the let's go. Whatever it is, it is. I get so many different suggestions, and why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I say, I'm going to do what I want to do. So, and then I always put it on there like challenge, try it, and I just have fun doing it. So hopefully that's what everybody gains from it.
So, Brad, I want to start out in the early years, way before TikTok and way before you were a TikTok star. So right. You're born in Georgia, you're raised in North Carolina, you attend Charles Owen High School, where you played football and basketball, like you said. And not surprising, you're a dual sport athlete. You received All-American honors as quarterback and All-State honors for the basketball team. Now, you carried this to the collegiate level as you played on the Florida State men's basketball team from 87 to 89 and even started 11 games as a freshman. And then in 1988, you joined the football team as a redshirt freshman and holder. So the following year, you're third-string quarterback behind Peter Tom Willis and Casey Weldon. But it seems like you're equally as talented at that point in basketball and football. You played college basketball before you played football, and you didn't have a clear path to starting right away. So why did you ultimately choose football over basketball?
Yeah, my passion growing up as a kid was basketball. I mean, I loved it. It was Larry Bird, Chris Mullin. I mean, I love North Carolina basketball. Brad Doherty went to my high school. He was a big time pro, a 7-footer. Roy Williams, he used to coach at my high school. It was in Carolina. I was a big Dean Smith fan, a big Bobby Cremins at Georgia Tech fan. Like, I love basketball. Football, I could throw a football, but I never worked at it, you know? But it's something I had more potential in doing. So I had a major choice in high school what I wanted to do. And so, you know, the comparisons were there's a guy named Vinny Testaverde at University of Miami who won a Super Bowl. And, I mean, who won the Heisman and 6'5", 225 bronze statue. I mean, stud, you know what I mean? But I had a long ways to go before I reached that level. But when I went to college, I went there to play football on a football scholarship and then had to make a major decision. Like at some point after my second year, football was going into the basketball season with the season. And then basketball, because of going to the NCAA's twice, I was missing half of spring football. Yeah. So I was competing against some great players at quarterbacks, Casey Weldon and Charlie Ward and Chris Winkie and Peter Tom Willis. And basketball is the same thing. So at some point, my passion was to hopefully make it to the NFL level and put all my time and effort into that.
Well, we don't want to foreshadow, even though we already know how your career goes. But I mean, hey, you finish out your collegiate career 4-2 record your junior year. I mean, 9 games your senior season. And, you know, every year you were at Florida State, they won a bowl game. So you must have been pretty good luck.
Yeah, and again, I only started one game my senior year. I was behind Casey Weldon, who were best friends. He was a runner-up to the Heisman. Should have won the Heisman. Should have won that. Had a chance to win the national championship. That was the wide right field goal when people remember it and that kind of stuff. But what I remember about Florida State, had a great coach in Bobby Bowden, legend, one of the all-time greatest. Mark Richt was my brother-in-law, QB coach, and just you're talking about like Deion Sanders and Leroy Butler and Terrell Buckley and Amp Lee and Edgar Bennett, and the list goes on of just great players. But I remember the competition and practice that took place. That was probably tougher than the games, to be honest. And that was where the spirit of just everyone where we lived at Burt Reynolds Hall there. I mean, just, you know, who's the fastest on the team? Who's the best basketball player? Who's the best at checkers? I mean, who's the best here? You know, I mean, king of the hill, cream of the crop. I mean, that's what it was. It was competition at all times at Florida State. And a lot of those guys went off to have great, great careers.
So Brad, I got to ask something. Obviously, you know, you had a great career at Florida State. Obviously, we know where it led to, as Eric pointed out. So you have big ties with Florida State. You also have big ties to Texas A&M. So hypothetically, due to your son playing the quarterback position there, hypothetically, if they were to, you know, go against each other, who are we, you know, cheering for? Is that a mutual kind of split, or what's it looking like there?
Yeah, both my boys, Max, he's a quarterback. He was at LSU actually the past 2 years and transferred to Texas A&M. And then my younger son, Jake, he's a tight end. He's at Texas A&M now. So they're rooming together, and that's pretty cool. As parents for my wife, Nikki, and I, to kind of say those, you know, they get to play college. They get to live their dream, you know what I mean? But obviously blood's always going to be thicker than anything. But always rooting for the Noles, but going to always pull from us kids. And I don't think they're going to play against each other unless it's a bowl game.
That's a good dad answer right there. Yeah, I like it.
One.
So, Brad, I want to go back to your career. So you enter the 1992 NFL draft. You're selected by the Vikings in the 9th round as their 3rd-string quarterback behind Rich Gannon and Sean Salisbury. And the same was for the following season, as you dressed for the first 10 games, but inactive the final 6. Now, come the 94 season, you're elevated to backup behind Warren Moon. You play your first regular season game in a 42-14 win against the Bears, and you get more playing time over the season goes. But what I think is interesting is in the offseason of 95, you played with the London Monarchs. Now, I feel like most players, they want the offseason to rest, you know, both mentally and physically, see their families, vacations, etc. What made you want to take that opportunity?
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't play much. I was a late bloomer as a quarterback. I only started 6 or 7 games in college. My first 3 years in the pros, behind Rich Gannon, behind Jim McMahon, behind Warren Moon, like there's not a lot of practice reps, not long game reps. And so I needed an opportunity to play in the league. It went extinct in the World League. There were 6 teams, London, Scotland, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, and Berlin, or Dusseldorf for the teams. And it was a chance to go play a 10-game schedule over in the World League. I got to be a leader of the team, got to make plays, got to make mistakes. Just need that opportunity. And, you know, and look back at there's 3 or 4 guys that had successful careers by doing it. Kurt Warner, John Kidna, Jay Fiedler, some quarterbacks that kind of went over there. You take an opportunity as a backup, you don't necessarily get to come back and be the guy. You know what I mean? So you got to prove yourself over there, come back, and then it kind of worked out for me just to play that offseason. I just needed reps, and so it worked out. It was a great opportunity for me, and probably the boldest move I made as a person, as a player, as a quarterback, to take that opportunity to go play in the World League, and it was bold, but it worked out.
I mean, bold and worked out it did, because come the 96 season, you started 8 out of the 12 games. You earned NFC Offensive Player of the Week 2 times, and things just keep getting better and better. The 97 season, you started 12 games. You went 8-4 with over 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns before suffering a neck injury. And your last season in Minnesota, it was an interesting one. You and Randall Cunningham both split time at quarterback, a lot of it due to injury. The team went overall 15-1, and I mean, that's probably as good as you can get in regular season. And then, but what I think is interesting is after the season, Cunningham is named the starter, and you're trading to Washington for a first, second, and third round pick. Now, I'm always curious to ask athletes of what was your experience getting traded, because I'm sure it's not a joy. You pick up your bags, you move. But does part of you feel honored that a team is willing to give up that much for your services?
Yeah, in the 98 season, it was a strange year. That was the year we were 15-1, one of the best years ever in professional football. That year I had a neck injury, lost all the strength in my hand. I broke my ankle, I broke my thumb. I think I was healthy for 3 games the whole season. Those 3 games I played. And so I started the season and broke it, and I was out. And so it was just a weird year for me because I couldn't even play. Wasn't even dressed, but that year I needed to move on in the trade. I've been at Minnesota for 7 years, go to Washington for all the picks that you talk about. And so I didn't really look at it as far as what they gave up in the trade, because they actually got that back with I don't know if you remember the Champ Bailey. Bailey and the Ricky Williams trade. So they kind of got all those picks back. It was really interesting, So, but I enjoyed my 2 years there in Washington, playing for North Turner, new system. We made the playoffs, won the division the very first year. Hadn't been done there in 7 or 8 years, and I loved that opportunity. Threw for 4,000 yards that year, which the game's kind of changed, but it was just a fun time for me.
I mean, it's like you read my notes, or maybe you know your career better than I do at this point, because you're right. You threw for 4,000 yards, 24 passing touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns. As a fantasy podcast, we got to include those rushing stats there. Right. So you stay with the organization 1 more year before going to Tampa. And look, I'm a believer things happen for a reason. And you reunite with Brian Billick and Tony Dungy, and I mean, everything clicks. You win the 2002 Super Bowl, their first in team history, and you get a Pro Bowl appearance.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it was a chance to be a free agent. And so I looked at different situations, and I thought Tony Dungy was the head coach at that time. We'd been together for 3 years in Minnesota when he's the defense coordinator there. And so he'd really turned that franchise around. They went from the Yucks to the Bucks.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Some years.
Just a lot of respect, because I'd played those guys in Tampa, John Lynch and Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and all those guys for many years, whether in playoffs or regular season games. So I think it was just the perfect kind of team for me, and it was a good fit, and grateful that Tony Dungy made that move for me in free agency, and it's kind of a chance for me to get back down to Florida. But then they made obviously they let Tony go, wasn't good enough coach, you know what I mean? He later went on to win a Super Bowl in Indianapolis and then Hall of Fame coach. So a pretty incredible career he had. But then John Gruden came in, made a bunch of moves in free agency with, Joe Jaravicius and Keenan McCardell and Ricky Dudley and Ken Dilger and Robin Oben and Kerry Jenkins and Michael Pittman. I mean, a lot of what Tampa did this past year. So we made about 15 to 17 moves in free agency, kind of upgraded our team in different areas. And so we made a run at it. He inspired us and coached us hard and tough, made practice a war between the offense and defense. And we just is the perfect kind of year,
Yeah, and I'm sure with all these moves, you actually created that number 1 defense in Tampa. So my question is, did the fact that the Buccaneers boasted that number 1 defense kind of, I guess ultimately distract from the offense that what you guys were putting up, or how was, if you felt like the offense was undervalued at all? Yeah,
it's a great question. I think if you look at any Super Bowl champions, they probably got a dominant defense at some point. I mean, I remember when Brett Favre won it, he had a guy named Reggie White and Leroy Butler. And you San Fran, when they wanted Steve Young, he had Deion Sanders. And I mean, the list goes on. So you better have a great defense if you're going to win it. But we scored a lot more points than people think, too. And we were a dominant offense. We didn't turn the ball over much at all. And we scored on every turnover that was created that year. We scored on every turnover. That's a stat people don't know about, whether it's a touchdown or field goal. A lot of times we'd have big numbers in the first half, and then a lot of times we'd run the clock out a little bit. We'd run the ball, pound the ball with the way Gruden called the plays in the second half. So the game's different. You don't get caught up in the numbers. You get caught up in the wins. And so, the stats look great after it's over, but at the time you're just trying to win games. And we had a great team for him. We had a great kicker, too, in Martin Gramatica. He didn't have credit either.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when a team wins a Super Bowl like that's the expectation, that's the barometer, and it's very, very hard to have that level of success, especially with how NFL careers are. And unfortunately, the following years they weren't as successful, and yet another reunion, which seemed like a big reunion, guy. And so this time it's with the Minnesota Vikings. And when Dante Culpepper went down to injury, he stepped in and he finished the season on a 7-2 record with the lowest interception to attempt ratio. There's a stat for you. I don't know if you knew that, Brad. And then you play the following year in Minnesota before finishing your career with the Cowboys, backing up everyone's favorite commentator, Tony Romo.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. When I went back to Minnesota, it was great for me. I was older at that time. I was about 38 years old, so it was a smooth move for me as far as having to learn a new system. Mike Tice was the head coach, so I already knew the system. That was an easy. I was going to back up Dante Culpepper, and then he got hurt. And it was just a crazy injury. And then we got hot there for me. And it was a fun time for me because I actually got a chance to start putting in my own plays and kind of had more of an impact as a player, not coach, but a player and a quarterback, what I wanted. You know what I mean? So those kind of things happen. Then I later left in free agency, went to Dallas, was back up to Tony Romo, loved it. Jason Garrett was the offensive coordinator. Wade Phillips was the head coach, loved playing for Wade. And but it was just a fun time. Our team was 13-3 the very first year. But Tony was fun. I mean, whatever you hear on TV right now, that's kind of the way he was in the meeting room. So a lot of times, I don't know if we're talking, about how good we were in high school baseball or senior proms or whatever it was. I mean, it was fun being in the meeting rooms with Tony. And then there's a lot of ball that was taking place too. But he's a smart guy, very intuitive, great playmaker. And obviously, you wish he'd won a Super Bowl for his legacy. But tremendous quarterback, and he'll be in the Ring of Honor there in Dallas at some point.
So I think, Brad, you've been reading our notes because the next question was going to be about Tony. So let me kind of recycle that. You stepped in for Tony for 3 games when he hurt his finger. Was there a different atmosphere playing for quote unquote America's team? Was that a different spotlight? Obviously, you've been in a Super Bowl. Was that something different?
Yeah, it's a great question. What's different about playing for Dallas is you're going to get the media attention. You know what I mean? The most NFL games you can have at nighttime or primetime games are 6 at night. Yeah. So you just count on Sunday night games, count on the Monday night games, count on primetime games, and count on ESPN being at every practice and some kind of report. It's the same thing happens in Dallas as it happens in Buffalo or happens in Cleveland or Cincinnati, but it just gets more attention. And obviously Jerry Jones, he built an incredible franchise, you know what I mean, and the biggest Jerry Jones world, the whole thing, but love playing for it. But there's going to be more attention given to every practice, every game, and spotlight is always on you. So that just kind of comes with territory.
Brad, you played into your 40s. Now, I think a lot of people look at what Tom Brady does, play until 44, and they think, oh, it's easy. He takes care of his body, the TB12 method. But on the flip side, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks, Andrew Luck, RG3, that have early careers ended because of injuries and stuff adding up. I don't think people realize how tough it is, especially before the quarterback is protected like they are today. I mean, just how did you treat your body and play for 17 seasons?
Yeah, it's a physical sport. It's like riding a bull. It's not a matter when you get hurt. It's not a matter if you get hurt. It's a matter when you get hurt. Tom's had an incredible year where he only missed 1 season because of a knee injury, and that part is unbelievable. But I mean, all the nicks and bruises and broken bones and surgeries that take place, those are real. And to be able to lead a team in mini camps in the spring and the summer workouts, the OTA days, and then the training camp, and then the preseason games, and then the regular season, and then the playoffs games. It's a lot. It's a lot on your body. And I think just being mentally fresh, knowing when to pick out your times, when to get your naps, and knowing times to push it at the same time. I mean, you got to take care of your body year round to be able to do it. But, a lot of us being lucky too. And, some guys get thrown into the fire too fast. Some guys that get drafted way too early, and they're playing them out there way too fast before they should play. If you take some Super Bowl guys that have actually won it, I sat for my first 3 or 4 years. Aaron Rodgers sat for his first 3 years. Tom Brady sat for his 2 years. Brett Favre sat for a year and a half. Troy Aikman, I'm not sure if he did. Steve Young, he sat forever. Eli Manning sat for 6 games. Kurt Warner sat for a couple of years. I mean, think about how that was really taking place. Carson Palmer, Michael Vick, Steve McNair, all those guys sat. So a lot of it depends on how your career goes. The Peyton Manning to the world that's played early, man, holy smokes, it's special what he did, but not many guys can do what he did.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead, Teddy.
No, I was going to ask, I feel like this is the only time I can ask this. I don't know too many NFL players, unfortunately. So what was your first thought after winning the Super Bowl? I have to ask that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome because in 1987, one of my heroes was a guy named Phil Simms, playing for the great New York Giants, played against the great Denver Broncos with John Elway, and Phil Simms went 22 for 25. I think they won the game 37-20. And after the game, confetti was falling on his face. He said, "I'm going to Disneyland," And then 10 years later, when the Super Bowl takes place, we win it. I'm holding my son Max, who's 2 years old. I don't know if you can see it right here. I got a picture of it right here.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
That's
awesome.
My son Max, and I'm here with my buddy John Gruden. I don't know if you can see this picture either. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, so I got John Gruden, my wife Nikki, and holding Max, and my wife Nikki's pregnant with Jake, 7.5 months pregnant, and confetti was falling on our face, and we're going to Disney World,
Family vacation.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. That moment to say for one moment in your life, it's not a vote. It's not done by the media. It's not a political race. Who you voting for? Who should we vote this guy into something? You win it. You win it as a team. There's only 34 guys that have won the Super Bowl as a quarterback. 12 guys that won it multiple times. 3 other guys won it multiple times as far as a backup. And it's a select group. There's only 45 presidents in the world. There's only 66 guys that have worn a green jacket. And the Masters, 120 something Kentucky Derby winners. You know what I mean? So it's a select group.
You got these stats down.
Yeah, man. But it's pretty. What it is humbling. It's very humbling because it goes back to your parents. It goes back to your teachers, your youth football coaches, your high school coaches, everybody that impacted your life along the way. And it's really just a great time to kind of give back to those people, and because they're in that moment with you too, cheering for you and want to be they're a big part of your life. So it's very humbling, to be honest with you.
We're talking with Brad Johnson, Super Bowl MVP, TikTok star.
MVP. I was not. Dexter Jackson was MVP.
He was. I got a little carried away because you're the MVP of this conversation.
Yeah.
And the man who, before we went live, showed us his extremely nice man cave. Brad, we like to get our guests out of here with a little triple play rapid fire, some this or that questions. Not all these are going to be football related. And you probably haven't been asked of these before. You game?
Let's try it.
All right. You can wear one jersey, and it's just based on looks. The Vikings purple, the Washington burgundy, or the Dallas Navy. Which one you picking?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I grew up in North Carolina. Washington Redskins were my favorite team growing up as a kid. So that was my favorite jersey because that was my dream to play for the Redskins, to be honest with you.
All right. I was not expecting that one, but I like that answer, the honest one. Would you rather throw an interception or get sacked on 3 consecutive plays?
Get sacked on 3 consecutive plays. I hate interceptions.
I mean, but it's mentally feeling bad versus physically feeling bad, but I like it.
I don't like those picks.
That's a team player right there. Would you rather forget who you were or forget who everyone else was?
No, I don't need it. I mean, no, I'd rather forget who I am, kind of be in other people's lives. You know what I mean? Okay,
I like that.
I like that.
Would you rather fight Mike Tyson once or talk like him the rest of your life?
I've never heard that before.
Told you probably haven't been asked some of these.
Oh, man. I'd have to duck and weave. I'd have to take a 10 count real quick. So I ain't going to talk like that. You know what I mean? So
I was going to say, I mean, you took a lot of hits in your career. I'm sure you can last one round with him.
it'd be one pop and go down. You know what I mean? So, wow.
Yeah, it's a smart business decision. You can't have that voice on the TikTok channel.
That's right.
Would you rather owe someone money or owe them a favor?
I'd rather owe them. I'd rather pay back the favor, but owe them money. You know what I mean?
Okay, I like it. I mean, that's the thing is, money is an unspecified amount. The favor you don't know. It's a good answer. You can use one utensil the rest of your life: a fork, spoon, or knife. What are you picking?
Well, I'd like to have a Swiss Army knife, but I'll take the fork.
That's the right answer. I like that. We've only had one person say knife, and it was Hugh Jackson, and he said, "I'll never know when I need protection." So, but I do think fork is the right one. Sandpaper as toilet paper or hot sauce as eye drops?
Oh man, I'll take the hot sauce. I'll take the hot sauce.
I'm with you. Either way, it's not going to feel really good. We
man.
We got a few left here. I'm glad I got you to laugh at a couple of these. That was my goal. Would you rather be reborn in the past or in the future?
You know what? I love the past. You know what I mean? I brag. It's funny, man. I brag on the '80s all the time, man. I love growing up and when I did. So I'd say in the past, and maybe have an impact on the future.
Okay, I like it. I like it. These are thoughtful answers for rapid fire. What is your favorite cereal?
Holy smokes, man! I say Raisin Bran.
Raisin. Raisin Bran is good.
Crunch. Raisin Bran Crunch. That's me.
Okay, we got to get the crunch in there. Now, I saved this one for last because this is going to be a tough one. Would you rather not watch football in any capacity for a year, college, NFL, or you can't make a TikTok video for a year?
Man, I'm gonna make TikToks, baby. The show is on. I mean, it's gonna be on. So just count on this happening. So I have my own game out there happening.
That's what. Hey, you have 23,000 TikTok followers. You can't stop for a year.
Yeah, I just want people to have fun with it. You know what I mean? I don't even care how many followers we got. Whoever's watching it, they are definitely going to be entertained.
That truer words have not been said. Brad, we really appreciate you joining us and just talking about your story. I mean, you are such an optimistic and cheerful guy. Before we get out of here, is there anything that you want to plug? I know you got a merchandise store where people can follow you on the socials.
Yeah, I'm involved with two different charities up in Asheville, North Carolina. That's where I grew up. One's the Evelyn Foundation, and the other one's called Beyond All Borders. Those are my two charities I'm involved with. And so if you go on cafepress.com/Big Bad Brad 14, you'll get you can get all the Big Bad Brad gear that you want, whatever, hats, t-shirts, mugs, and whatever it is. And all that money goes to Beyond All Borders. So that's basically where it is. You can find me in all the social media deals and on Twitter and Instagram and here and all that kind of stuff. It's Brad_Johnson_14. So you can find me out there. But I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, and TikTok, Big Bad Brad 14, always posting good videos out there. So if you want to get sucked in and lose some time, but spend it productively, make sure you see some of those TikToks. Everybody that watches Triple Play, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you give Brad a follow. We'll catch you guys on the next one.